Now, back to McGraw in the Morning on the Big 550 KTRS. This hour is presented by Collier & Thompson Kitchen and Bath. Visit them today at collierandthompson.com.
On Monday, the Ellisville City Council is going to vote on whether or not to impeach Adam Paul. The reasons were brought to the forefront because of our next guest, former Ellisville Councilwoman Katie James. She's here in studio. Katie James, welcome to Big 550 KTRS.
Thank you for having me, McGraw.
You were a former councilwoman in Ellisville in the early 90s, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you?
12 years ago.
How long
3
were you?
years.
3 years, okay.
3 years.
You called me up yesterday after hearing the show, or hearing about the show, I should say, saying that you wanted to tell your story. First, let's start with, you brought these charges against Mayor Paul. What are the charges? What are you saying he did that is an impeachable offense? Well,
this all started shortly after his election. At one of the first meetings that Mayor Paul presided over. After the meeting, during the meeting, there were a lot of booing and jeering to people who had opposing viewpoints to him. Mm-hmm. And after the meeting, I just calmly went up to the dais, and there was a big table separating us, and I just said, Mayor, in the future, could you please just try to limit the booing and keep control, because it's very hard for people with opposing viewpoints to speak. And he looked at me, and he just kind of went crazy, asked me who the F did I think I was. This was his effing seat, and he could do what the F he wanted. He did not use the F word. He said F.
He said, quote, F blank,
No.
F-I-N-G. Or
he just said F. He just
said F.
He didn't cuss at me. He just said, who the F do you think you are? And I was quite honestly shocked by that. I mean, I was intimidated. I kind of started shaking at it. And the city clerk was standing there, and a couple other people were standing there, and they looked at me, and they looked at him, and they were just like, wow, what just happened? And then all of a sudden, he starts screaming at this police officer to have me physically removed. And I'm like, I have no clue what's going on here. And
this happened in April of last year?
Last year. It happened one of his earlier meetings.
Okay.
And after the meeting, I had no opinion of the man, to be honest with you. I've been out of city politics for a very long time. The city council, the city has run itself so well, and there's been no need for me to be involved. There were no issues for me to be involved with. And I called.
What were you doing at this meeting? Were you just there as a
I was just there,
citizen?
More interested because I had gotten involved with the TIF issue. I had spoken to the TIF issue. I'd been on the TIF commission, and I still, I have no problems voting in favor of that TIF. It's kind of hold your nose and do it. But I just wanted to hear what was being said, and I could not believe the amount of chaos that was going on in a meeting that should have been ordered because it was a hot pocket issue.
Sure. Let me just understand you correctly.
Yes.
You're saying his quote, and let's get this straight here. He said, quote, who the F are you?
Who the F do you think you are?
Okay, he didn't use the word. He used the letter. Who the F do you think you are? Okay.
Exactly. I mean, and this is all kind of piddly, and this is kind of my hesitation in coming up here, because it was kind of a piddly issue, but it scared me. It scared me at the way he had verbally went after me during that issue. And I spoke to a few people, and I was like, I cannot believe he just did that to me. And the fact that he was trying to tell people within the city to have me physically removed, which was crazy because nobody was aggressive there but him.
This happened last year.
This happened last year.
Why? Anything else? There was another incident.
There was
that happened
another
recently.
incident in February where he tried to have someone else removed from a meeting who disagreed with him, and was unsuccessful again in that attempt. And it's gotten to a point in the city where the meetings that the current mayor of Ellisville is running are out of control. He throws pencils across the room. He screams. He yells. It's just chaos in his meetings. And that's something that Ellisville has not seen in a very long time. In fact, the former Mayor Ed O'Reilly, 20 years ago, because of his antics of screaming and yelling and throwing things, the city had to go from a very strong mayor form of government to a more weaker form of government and a strong city manager form of government.
Ed O'Reilly has been on this show and has endorsed Adam Paul.
He is his mentor and his puppet master. I don't think Adam Paul would be where he is without Ed O'Reilly telling him what to do.
Okay. So because of these two incidences, one involving you
Yes.
and one involving somebody else,
Yes.
you decided to lodge a formal complaint to impeach Adam Paul.
In the city of Ellisville, when you want to bring a complaint, you can't just say, I want him censured.
Mm-hmm.
You have to say, and I would have been happy if he would have just learned how to run a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But after counseling and counseling, they even put on a work session, codes of conduct and how to conduct meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And after that meeting, I had gone to that meeting. I've gone to quite a few meetings here recently. After that meeting, the mayor went up to former Mayor Perello and said, I will try harder to be better at this, to keep better control. And it just kept devolving and devolving, and meetings just keep getting more and more and more out of control. And I said, you know what, enough's enough. He needs to be censured. He needs to know that he cannot behave this way. There are codes of conduct. When you take the oath of office,
censure is different than impeachment.
But there is no censure. You bring the charges and then you hope that you get the censure.
Gotcha.
There's no, I want him censured. You bring the charges as an impeachment charge.
Gotcha.
In hopes that you get a censure.
Do you hope?
You can't bring charges for censure.
Do you hope he is voted out of office?
At this point,
what is your goal here?
At this point, my goal is just to have my story heard, to be honest. As far as Mayor Paul, I have no problems with him. I've never really had a problem with Mayor Paul. I don't know him enough to have a problem with him. I just know that he has had no desire to learn how to be a mayor, how to conduct a meeting, or how to treat people who disagree with him. And when you are a mayor of a city, especially a small city, where there are only 10,000 some odd residents, there will be differences of opinion, and you have to take care of all of your citizens.
Okay.
You have to at least listen to them.
Katie James, our guest, former Ellisville Council member who has brought the charges against Adam Paul to remove him from office. Monday,
yes.
Are you rooting for, are you hoping for, what is your stance here? Do you want him removed and impeached from office?
What I want is for the city to get its act back together. Whether it's with Mayor
you're
Paul
the one bringing the charges.
I am the one bringing the charges, and I think that the mayor has to have some semblance. The mayor must control the city. He must control his meetings, and the fact that he can't, and the fact that the city council, in my opinion, I don't know why the city went farther with my charges. I'm not privy to that. Why they feel that the relationship with the mayor has devolved to such a point where they feel they can no longer work with him.
Okay.
I want the city just to work.
Yesterday, Chet Pleban was on the show saying that he has emails from Paul Martin, the city attorney, and Matt Perillo talking about these two charges 3 days before you filed those charges. Did you have any conversations?
Absolutely.
With
Absolutely.
those two? Okay.
I would be a fool to sit down and draft my own resolution. That would not be prudent.
Did they tell you what to do? Did they encourage
I called
you?
them. How this all came about, after the meeting, which I did not go to, where he asked for Mr. Schroet to be removed from the meeting, I was having dinner later in the evening with some friends, and some other people came in from the meeting, and they're like, Paul tried to throw somebody else out, Katie, and I'm like, not again. So that's when I got the transcript. I called the city clerk the next morning, and I got the transcript of the meeting where Mayor Paul tried to throw somebody else out of the council's chambers for doing nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing, other than not having Mayor Paul's opinion. And I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. I said, he needs to know he can't do this kind of stuff. And that's when I called former Mayor Perillo, and I said, Matt, now this is twice he's tried to throw people out of meetings. Is there anything I can do? And he said yes. And I said, well, I'll go back 12 years. He said, you can bring the charges against him, the charter violation clause against him. And I said, okay, I can do that. I said, I have no idea how to draft it, what to do.
What's the charter violation clause?
Charter violation is that when you are a member of the city council, you agree to uphold the charter, which is a document that the city drafted because of Ed O'Reilly 20 years ago, that outlines the code of conduct. And when there's a code of conduct violation, then you file a statement that says, these are what I believe. And then the the 3 senior members of the city council look at it and say, okay, we're going to censure you, we're going to talk about this, or you've created, say it was in something like they murdered somebody, they would throw them off.
Right.
But what you hope for is that the person that you are bringing these charges up to takes a hard look at their behavior and reads the charter and understands what they've done, and they act accordingly from there forward.
Katie, let me ask this question. Has anybody asked you to come forward? Has anybody pushed you to come forward? Are you coming forward through your own volition?
I will tell you, I'm a small-town girl. I was born and raised in Union, Missouri, and I just think that you have to stand up and be counted. And when things are going on that are going on right now in the city of Ellisville, someone has to stand up and say, enough. The lies that are going on, the chaos that is going on in Ellisville can all be linked back to one person, and that is Mayor Paul.
Okay, but has the communications company that they've hired asked you to come forward and speak? Is there anybody behind you pushing you to speak other than you wanting to tell your own story?
Oh, I could only hope for that. No, I'm kind of the Lone Ranger here. I just
So Matt Perillo hasn't asked you to come forward and speak. Paul Martin, the city attorney, they haven't asked you to come out and speak. This is you solely.
Absolutely not. In fact, I would assume that the council being involved in this litigation and this impeachment process is kind of bound by the charter not to speak publicly.
Okay.
I'm not bound by that. I've been on that side of that. I've been on the other side of this wall where the council is, and I think somebody needs to be out talking about what's going on in Ellisville right now.
Well, Matt Perillo spoke had one meeting with a member of the media and then was told not to speak again. So, and Adam Paul's been on the show at least once or twice. So there are people. These people are talking. So whether they choose not to or not, I don't know if they're legally allowed to talk, but they are talking now. But Katie, James, back to this. You've had a chance to think about it. You've watched the news media. You've watched people talk about this story. After filing these charges, these impeachment charges,
yes,
do you still want Adam Paul to be impeached?
I think Adam Paul should resign, personally.
Okay. He's not. Sounds like he's not going to resign.
He's not going to resign.
You're the one who brought the charges against him for impeachment,
which they found were not, while valid charges, were not strong enough to have him removed from office, which is fine with me.
Okay, but the question is...
But he didn't learn from this issue.
But the question is, they're going to impeach him. From all accounts, it looks like he is going to be impeached Monday.
I don't think that's been established.
Okay.
I think...
Do you want him impeached still? You brought impeachment charges up against him. Do you want him still impeached?
I think he's an ineffective leader at this point. I see no
Katie,
way
you
for
are
him.
avoiding the question.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying I don't really care. I don't really care.
Katie,
you're
you're the one who brought the charges. How can you now not care?
Okay, if it were up to me, he would not still be mayor.
Let me ask you this way. If you were on the city council, would you vote to impeach him?
If the charge, I have not seen all the evidence. That's not, the whole thing is about bringing evidence. If he broke the law, then yes, he should not be in the mayoral seat.
But Katie, come on now.
He broke the law. He broke the law by ordering a police officer to have me removed from office.
Okay, so
he broke the charter. He broke the charter.
He broke the charter. So therefore, that's an impeachable offense.
I think it's a censurable offense.
Okay,
I think that going after being counseled, and this is just after. Have you read all the charges against him?
I've read them, and then they've taken away some. And
okay, and some of them were silly. But the charge that really offends me, and the charge, and I keep hearing Chet Pleven do this whole Chicago style razzle dazzle. Let's vilify Katie, let's vilify Matt. But the fact is that he was counseled by the city not to go to the relocation person to ask for more money. He was told that's not his position. We are a city manager. The city manager, by order of the council, could do that, but he could not, and he still went behind the council, behind the mayor, and tried to renegotiate. That is not allowed.
Last question for Katie James, former Ellisville councilwoman who brought the charges for impeachment against Adam Paul, that they will then, the trial is now Monday.
Yes.
You brought these charges.
I did.
Do you want him impeached?
Yes. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not on the council. I'm not taking a
So
vote.
you would, but you're the one bringing up the charges.
I bring the charges so they come to
I
the
understand that,
forefront.
but you're charging him, saying that he violated.
He did.
He so mismanaged the role that we need to overturn an election of the people.
I have no confidence in this mayor at this point. None.
It's not a question of confidence. It's a question of did his actions rise to the level to overthrow a duly elected mayor of a town?
And I don't have all the facts in that. Do I think he is a capable mayor? No, I do not.
Again,
Do I know
should the vote of the people of Ellisville be overturned by the council?
if he broke the law, then yes.
Katie James, I'm not going to get any other answer out of you. We are officially done. Katie James, thank you for telling your story. Tell your mother, Karen Calvin, I said hi. How about that? 8:35.
Thanks, McGraw.
You got it. 8:35 here on the Big 550 KTRS.